Okay. That working okay? Yep. Okay. Oh, I cannot figure out this chat thing. I cannot get any tool to work with both streams. Streamerbot just won't connect at all on Twitch or YouTube. Restream won't auth with I won't join no matter whether when I start it with YouTube. Most frustrating. So yes, it should all go in the bin. And then everyone's got the best platform, right? Um, I really don't want to get into writing my own bot to do this. I really don't. I mean, it's joining uh, the chats, right? But I don't want to do that. I've got better things I want to do. More fun things. Okay. Finishing up Kafka. So last night I spent some time. I kind of broke out the functions that I'd written yesterday into useful pieces. So I have the zookeeper piece broken out and the broker piece broken out, and I got a um what I do. I did a build AKHQ so I can get that running. Did I leave it running? Before starting stream, do the go live thing in YouTube, restream, disconnect from YouTube, and connect to YouTube using event thing. Yeah, yeah, that's what I do. I've tried variations of that over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. It's not offering me the event anymore. It was offering me the event. It doesn't offer me the event anymore, which is frustrating. Um, Set to profit. Morning, daughter. Yeah. Um, let's see. Let's see if that changes anything. Create event. It's not episode 6, is it? It's episode 7, but never mind. It doesn't remember these things. Because I really would like to have the chats joined. It would be nice if people in YouTube can talk with people in Twitch and vice versa. Go live. Nope. I've tried it because I used to try it before. Then I realized I had to create the event and do that. But now it won't even let me create the event. And I think I've just made the mistake of not putting the playlist in place. Putting infrastructure as code. Yeah. Just doesn't give me the option. But anyway, it is what it is. So, can read both because I've got Axel chat, so it does combine the chats for me at least, which is good. So that is at least helpful. Okay. So what I have done overnight is I have got things sorted out. I've got AKHQ. I can open up AKHQ and I can see nothing because apparently I'm now lying. It was working. I was seeing AKHQ before. Pods, AKHQ. There you go. Okay, it's because I didn't delete it from there. So AKHQ is up and running, but will it connect? This is the question we're going to answer. I'd like to finish out this Kafka piece because having the ability to bring this up and see what's happening in Kafka will be useful. I don't mind if this won't be publicly exposed. It doesn't need to be exposed internal to my network at all. I can do this every time I need to do it. Once Kafka's up and running fine, I really shouldn't be worrying too much about these things. But we've got to validate that is doing what it should do. Localhost could not be established. Broker may not be available. Well, that's just dandy. Kafka broker. Let's go look at the configuration that I did. So the AK config. Let's try it that way. Pulumi down. I hope you don't run into that issue because it just becomes a nightmare. And this is why I don't get into bot stuff too much on stream. It's why I don't do that because I just want to develop software. Yes, I would like to have it to YouTube and Twitch at the same time because it's way easier from the VOD's perspective. YouTube is way easier to search for and show, but it's just something I want to do. I want to achieve, but I don't want to get bogged down with administrative pieces. Okay, so we are going to try today to get we'll give this another try, but I don't want to focus too much time there. I am going to try and get this piece working where I want to create the topics. So with Kafka, and there's some Pulumi stuff that suggests that I can change the topics count, the partition count after it's gone live, which is an interesting thing that I've not seen before. I've always understood it to be you can't change the partition size while a while the topic is active. So Pulumi architecture exists locally. Just for instance, changing things live in a prod environment is scary. Locally as in, I mean, everything I'm doing here. So what this does do is no. You can create different environments. So and that's kind of why I'm going through this effort, right? Is so I have these stacks, and a stack can have deployments, right? So this is the dev one. So that's just because I brought it down, right? Let's bring that back up and see what happens. Pulumi up. Yeah. Yes, you could. You can experiment with everything. So, and Pulumi's not. So one of the benefits of infrastructure as code is you could actually define parameters outside and then invoke and then kind of configure your deployment based upon other sources, right? So my thought here is that when you have a dev stack or you have a production stack, etc., that they would be different. But you could use all the same pieces for doing certain things. Like the core of the code could be shared. Just the actual definition of what is the production environment is different than what is the dev environment. So yeah, but again, learning these things, right? when you're using a tool set, it's not just here's the tool, it does a thing, right? It's the how do I use it properly? How do I continue to work effectively in it? Where am I struggling? Where I don't need to? All those fun things. Hello, little Taylor. So yeah, but you can experiment with this a bit more. Yeah, one of the advantages of not using infrastructure as a service is you have scary dialogues around your website. Yeah, I suppose. So my broker isn't coming up there. Is that what they're saying? I thought I brought the. Oh, I changed the number to 2 to experiment. The second broker isn't, so that does not scale that way. Good thing to know. Need more configuration there before I do that. So what was happening there is I had the second broker instance because I changed the number in my broker here to don't want to be messing around with that right this second. So yeah, Pulumi as a command, right? So yes, you need Pulumi installed on whatever system. I don't know what the um, I don't know what the automated version of this looks like. Obviously, I'm doing this from a dev machine and it connects to Pulumi that way. But you can change your stack. Yeah, the Lichess Guy streams. That website is just one developer from what I could see on the GitHub. Oh yeah, it made me think. Maybe realize I probably overtest. Overtest in what? From what perspective? It's test still, but only where it's really needed. I will say one dev on that project as well. He's way understaffed. Okay, so pods. So that fixed that pod. Still the deployment. So I didn't bring everything down then to change that. I just changed the number and then reran it, and it updated that, and it's now running. Chess.com is compared to probably has 40 devs or even more. Let's have a look at this now. So forward the port. How is this communicating? Local. Why are you connecting to localhost? Broker may not be available. Pretty sure I didn't tell you to connect to localhost. So AKHQ, I send in this. So this comes in as broker, and I get the name of the service, and I'm meant to replace that in the configuration, right? So you can set up all sorts of different stuff here. But that should be broker 9092. So it changed that. It definitely changed that. But why is that localhost? Unless this is being evaluated as empty. I don't know of any way of debugging this. Can we debug? Debug. Pulumi script. Pulumi programs that run with or without you. Oh, I can step through this. Oh. Hey, Law. I'll be right back. No, I don't think that's. Yep, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. So is there Pulumi tools? Pulumi tools. Okay, so I do have them. So I need to do debug. No. Oh, without there we go. Pulumi. Choose select Pulumi, then Pulumi preview. That's not going to help me, but that's fine. We'll go with that one. Let's close Copilot down there. And there we go. Bit different. Pulumi's now not there though. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So hold on. Actually, we can validate that without doing anything else. Okay, so the there we go. That's why. That's why it's using localhost. So what you can see there is that's actually the contents of that file, and it's saying blank string 9092, right? So it's not giving me the replacement that I want. So the problem is that this value here, this metadata name, is a output string, not Pulumi output. So you can't just get that value. And you can't concat it. Maybe I can. Maybe I can do this by Pulumi concat. Content. Is that return a string? that takes a string. Here, yeah, the value. Oh, it takes an input string. That takes an input string. This doesn't take an input string. That takes a. So I was struggling to get a string. So the problem has been for the last couple of days that my my family had been home, so the dogs are more discombobulated, I'd say, and that's meant that they are moving around a lot more than they would usually. So, yeah. Okay, so I don't know how to get a Pulumi string, yeah, into. I think I could cope with everything if it was all light mode, but the fact that everything's dark mode then light mode makes the light modes more glaring. Okay. Pulumi get output string as string TypeScript. How to convert Pulumi output? You can't apply, it doesn't work. It's not possible to convert an output string to string or any output to T. Output T is a promise. To use this value, we apply a callback function. Right, but I've tested this and this doesn't work, right? So if we do, we can't, you can't do this, right? Because that doesn't do anything. Doesn't really matter right a second. I'm not doing anything with AKHQ. But I'm pretty sure that won't do very much either. So this tells me that I'm thinking about these things in the wrong way. I'm thinking about them as very linear, and they're not linear. They're more asynchronous than I'm thinking. And I mean, I suppose the order that which things get created and should show me that they're not. I might go through and start them all, but they all don't finish automatically, which is telling. Okay, so there's all the things gone. So that's Pulumi up. Mr. Anhorn, how you doing? Make them dependent. Okay. It's not working. So it didn't fail, but it didn't work either. It didn't fail in terms of it didn't completely outright like break. Gotcha. So I'm trying to figure out is I need to take the name of the broker that I've created and use it in the AKHQ piece. So take the broker service that I have, and use that to configure AKHQ. But you can't get the Pulumi output string to get the name to do the string replacement on this. So I want to do a string replacement on the configuration here so that I can replace that and get the AKHQ service working. You need to inverse your thinking of how to get properties. Okay. Metadata.name. I mean, actually, if I'm being accurate, what I really want to do is do that. And I need to get, if I'm being more correct about this, I want to build. No, no, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. My head hurts. I'm not. I'm not being rude. I just can't. I'm not going to follow along very easily. Pulumi concat doesn't give you a string either. That doesn't give you a string, does it? That'll fail to resolve because that's going to, yeah, that'd be more what I want, right? Because I want to make sure I can do that. But how about two string on output? Yeah, the config in. So, but if I wanted to do, so if I wanted to do both of them, it's the synchronicity. Yeah, I get what. So it'll block there, like const config um equal. Okay, so what we're doing is broker metadata dot, and it doesn't matter what I do this on, right? Name dot apply name, but then um broker dot metadata dot broker dot spec. But that's spec. That's not. Oh, yeah, there was something like that, wasn't there? Ah, okay. So that's just Pulumi dot output. Gotcha. Oh, it does not exist. Awesome. Yeah, it's all good. I appreciate it. I appreciate the help. I'm okay with the struggle right this second. I cannot. Yeah, probably not the wisest thing to do this today. Um, because I do know that that does something. Because the Pulumi concat is how I did the other thing, right? But it won't work. Yeah, that way. So, but that won't work because that doesn't give me. That doesn't. I don't think that gives me anything either because that returns another output, right? And that'll be broker there. But that'd be. What's the worst happens? It fails. Um, we have a lot of fires in the area recently. Going through quite a dry spell actually. Don't know. We haven't had any real rain in months. Um, and the air is thick with smoke. I don't know if it's the same as format, but we'll see. I didn't intend to get stuck on the Kafka piece. I wanted to move on to the next piece because it's going to require more configuration, probably more config maps. but I wanted to get this kind of working. What a headache. Um, if you're new to the stream, if you're wondering what the heck's going on, I am trying to figure out deployment of an application, many components of that, and realistically, I'm just starting. I'm trying to learn my way as I go. There you go. Oh, no port. It did 50%. Come on. That's because I let it autocomplete. I shouldn't have let. Oh no. Plain text host on the broker. Plain text host is 9092. That's interesting. Uh, is there different ports there though? Is that a thing? Let's try. I realize I don't have to bring everything down. You did remove it. Well, it did the concat properly. That's yeah. So now, if I understand this correctly, that's going to pause there and wait till this resolves before it moves on and does this deployment, right? I did at one point. I did have it. I know I did replace it at one point. So the fact that it remembered that part is good. Yeah. Keep going through the whole file, but it's smart enough to wait for that to resolve before going forward with the next resource. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so there's AKHQ. Does not want to resolve that property, does it? But I had this working somewhere else. Why did I do this elsewhere? I've used the port, so I don't have. So my thought there was I don't want to get caught out by like there I did it as well, but I don't want to get caught out by um. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't do it yet. Maybe I was trying this last night for the first time. But I don't want to get caught out by configuration changes tripping me up like that, right? I don't. That's just not what I want to be doing. So why does this not resolve that? Now that's specs. Does that have? But yeah, it says it's an output. I'm gonna do that. Blew me up. I'm going to see how it should detect a change and change that resource and not everything, right? I know I don't have to do the preview every time. Oh, but I changed it. Say what if this little AMD box lasts 6 months, I'll be amazed. Or the hard drive in it at least. So long weekend this weekend. Longer stream Monday. This weekend I'm going to try and get some space organized and get my gaming PC in a place where I can start doing some game streams more frequently. I have a completely different setup for game than I do out of for this. So the machine I've played out past game streams is a is a Mr. FPGA, which is sat under this monitor. But if I want to play anything else, like I want to do Eve or something like that on stream, yeah, I have to set up a different machine. So I'm hoping I can get that organized and start doing some game streams. Because going into Christmas period, going into the holidays, it'd be nice to have some more weekends relaxing there. Yeah, next week, long Monday stream, no Thursday stream, long Friday stream. Because day off Monday, day off Friday. Assuming my blew me down. I'm not wrong. This seems like it should be. I don't want to be using an array indexer there. It seems like this should be doable. Why is Pulumi gone from there? Create a launch. Let's just create a default. No. Request. Okay, so it's an output of its own. So do we do const broker port equals, yeah, that ain't gonna work there, but we do broker.spec.ports.apply return port. Let's go with it. Let's see what that does. I don't mind learning this way. I know it can be frustrating at times to watch, and I don't learn. Maybe I don't learn the same way as others do. Um, um, but I do find discovery through like ever increased levels of education much more productive for me. I try and read stuff. I try and read content, and it just either I can't apply it to what I'm seeing, or it just doesn't make much sense. There we go. That works. I can imagine doing this learning in public. This hurts my soul watching you like me doing this learning. I just I decided because last time I took 3 months to try and figure this out, right? And I did it all in Helm charts. And I didn't stream any of it because I was because of the way I do this. And it might be very frustrating for people to watch, but this time I decided, you know what? I can't be the only one that learns this way. By bumbling through sometimes, struggling through. When I read something later and I have the context of the thing, it will make it much easier to understand. Okay. Ooh, now we get different error. Now we get spammed with errors. That's okay. That's okay. That's better than nothing. Desktop, AKHQ deployment. Okay, error connecting to node, Kafka node, Kafka broker deployment 9092. Now, this was originally 29092. I feel this pain because I know you feel in theory is fine, but putting it into practice is harder. Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's why we get upset. We get frustrated with um, documentation being off, or, something like the other day when I was changing something. Hi, Get Gopher. No, this is not a Strimsy stream. This is not me trying to figure out that. So all I'm trying to do is build a small set of Kafka pieces because I don't intend to use Kafka this way in the end. So going through trying to figure out what Strimsy gives me and how to configure that just seems like extra work. Yeah. That being said, I've now spent a few days trying to figure out how to do the Kafka deployment. But no, I'm not trying to do Strimsy right this second. I am aware of what Strimsy is. I don't know is the honest answer. I'm trying to learn my way through this piece. I'm trying to get enough Kafka in there to do um, um, to get a usable Kafka piece for the application that I'm trying to deploy. Deployment is not my normal world. Development is. So I'm trying to use Pulumi to do this, to appreciate what it would take to actually deploy this application, to give me some tools to grow through as I continue the rest of the application development. Um, so what I'm trying to deploy ultimately is this. So we have a client deployed and we have a SQL server deployed. And I'm just trying to get the Kafka piece workable enough that these will be able to communicate with it. So learning bit by bit. So Strimsy, I do appreciate that Strimsy is probably, if I was going to do an actual Kafka cluster, the better way. But I don't want to divert onto doing that when I've got a very specific desire here. I don't believe that is correct. But any insights if you want to provide, if you know more about this, then I'm happy to learn. Being said, I may not accept all advice, but I try to understand it. No, not right now. No, I'm bringing everything up and down just to verify things are connecting. I only learned the difference between stateful set and a regular deployment yesterday. Because I don't care right now if it brings everything down every single time. I'm going to be doing this a lot more uh, over the coming weeks. Now that got the name, but I don't believe it needs plain text though. Let's try. I'm not the only one that randomly clicks a taskbar button when they mean to click one. Kubernetes is running on a little AMD box behind me, a little mini PC. Right this second. So I'm trying to do this way because I feel it's worth learning a little bit more about how you might deploy this application, what challenges come with it. Also be able to deploy a version that I can have people access, because then we can start testing it. All right, this second. I haven't played around with load balancing. Again, my world is development, not infrastructure and deployment. So, okay, so that picked up the right port that time. So I'm trying to learn a little bit so I can appreciate what it is to deploy this application. And yeah, it's the same problem. I think that's not resolving the name, I would imagine. It should resolve. That was connecting to Kafka broker deployment. Why is that broker deployment? Actually, that shouldn't be Kafka broker deployment. That's broker deployment. That's service. Why is it getting... That's the service I pass in. Am I not understanding how this works as well? Build broker. That gives me the broker. That gives me the service of the broker, which is the thing returned there. Which should give me Kafka broker service. Usually clients would access your cluster via load balancer and an ingress controller. Yeah, I know I've got to configure ingress right now. I'm not messing with ingress. That's not I'm trying to get the pieces behind the scenes now worked on. I did do the client piece, and tested a tunnel, but that's all brought down right this second so that I don't have issues. So the goal would be to not really access Kafka externally right this second. I definitely don't want to be exposing that via any ingress rules. Yeah. And this is not a production deployment. This is a deployment to be able to test this over the coming months. So I want it deployed enough that I can understand how it's deployed, understand how to redeploy, and be able to bring it down when I need, but also continue to test that case. Why is that? So the problem is, so let's do this. Let's comment that out. So what I'm thinking I want to see is that. So let's validate that that works first. So const AKHQ configuration equals. So I'm putting AKHQ in here just so I have something to monitor Kafka. Let's test, see if that works. Yeah. Part of my choice for Pulumi, by the way, is that it is an interesting area for me. I would like to know more about how people deploy applications, or one of the options for deploying applications. I think it's useful to see these tools maybe understand some of the pains that people have to go through to do this. From a development perspective, and I kind of talked about this a little last night with someone. The I've seen the world of deploy from the developer machine. Um, I've worked a long time in that, and I don't like that concept. I get that I'm deploying from a developer machine here. That's kind of, but this deployment is not what's on my machine. It's not my, um, it's not from my development environment. It's being built independently of my development environment. Yes, it's meant to mimic my development environment right now, but it's pulling all those pieces together. Um, we're using Pulumi to provision cluster resources. Yeah, so right now I'm using Pulumi to um, build the client, get the SQL Server running, well, not build the client. It's pulling an image that I built from GitHub when I push to my release branch. Branching strategy with, yeah. Okay, so that's going to go Pulumi. Oh, I didn't just do that, right? No. So in the near future, what I want to be doing is deploy. So I'll start working on the Docker files for these once we get this piece working, get the gateway in place, learn which pieces I do and don't need, because obviously I do understand that Kubernetes does provide some of the pieces that I actually get from console right now. We'll get console installed, and just again understand what I'm using, why I would use it a different way. Can I use it can I use one tool in development and use a different tool in production? Is that wise? Um, how do I deploy the services? How do I make them communicate properly? And all these fun things. Isn't that vastly more work than using YAML? If I understood the YAML, then yeah, it would be, but I don't understand the YAML any more than I understand Pulumi. Um, so building the Helm charts isn't going to necessarily get me any more than what I'm doing. I'm basically building the Helm charts with Pulumi right this second, right? This way I can use code, I can uh, use constructs I'm more familiar with, and I don't have to be worried about sensitivity of tabbing, of spacing, different challenges. Yeah. Not in the near term. This is again solely, this is a first pass at this to understand some of the pain points, understand some of the challenges I'm going to face when I go to deploy an application of this size. Will it have an impact on the design and infrastructure? Maybe it will, right? But if I don't do this now and figure some of these things out, by the time I go and say, oh well, now I'm ready to make a production application out of this, I'm in a pickle, right? So I'd rather understand what it means for some of these things now. And yeah, some of that's going to be struggle. Um, but yeah. Okay, so did you connect? No, he did not. AKSQ. So this is not the hey, look, we're ready for production version of this. This is the hey, I understand what it takes to do that. If I'm going to do this for real, hire an expert. And here's what I've got so far. So at least I can talk to them in the same world. Error connecting to no, that still say the same thing. Error connecting to What? Oh, hold on. Does that service, is that the service doesn't know how to do that? Yeah, headlamp is running as desktop. There's 29092. But it's saying that, oh, hold on. I just changed that. Why is it trying to talk to Kafka broker deployment still? I really need to put, I forgot to put the word learning in my title again today. I just realized that. I apologize. I should be clearer. I'm not trying to do this as a demonstration. I'm trying to do this as a learning exercise. Let's change that. I removed the word learning and I didn't mean to. Yeah, it's in the YouTube title. Professional learning. So let me have a look at. So this is my Docker Compose file for those same pieces, right? And I specify broker 29092 on there. Internally, so I've added the network label. So AKHQ is in the same network. We figured that out. I created a network piece, created a network result, so I can merge that in. Why would that not work? Your approach to this is interesting. Do you intend to use Kubernetes in the future, or is it just a requirement for single deployment? Um, for the foreseeable future, Kubernetes. But again, I'm trying. I've built the application. So the application is quite large, right? The application exists, right? So the application code, right? It is a large system. It is a distributed system. Um, what I'm trying to do is figure out what it looks like to deploy this, where are my challenges, what will work. And I'm doing it early enough that I can obviously change things if I need to. If it changes the way I design the software, if it changes the things I do, if it changes some of the techniques I use or the tools I use, then that's so be it. So that I don't make that long term. The aim would be to release this as a product. Now I don't want to. I've already decided I don't want to start messing around with um, Azure Functions or AWS Lambda. I don't want to mess around with that sort of stuff. So this is not going to go that path. These are services, no matter which way I put them. So yeah, but at least I can assess them and I can see what it looks like, and I can look at the tooling and figure things out. Um, yeah. Deployment of the application is something that you do have to consider as you're building it because it comes with cost. I do want to make this a product. It would be great to make this an actual product. So the actual thing I'm building is a product planning and management application similar to Jira, but where the concepts are broken out of what is a story and what is work to be done. So increased tracking of actual work and visibility is a big focus of that. Um, that that's why a distributed system for more alerting and notifications. And yeah, so building this version out because it's got to the point where I can dog food the application. So if I can get a deployment of the application working, then I can use the application to build the application. And again, having that deployment piece kind of starting to build gives me some insights that I will need much later on when it's ready to actually go into production. Usually two people start out with Kubernetes CLI and apply some YAML files. That's why I ask you. I've got a deployment working with Helm and stuff before. I have had an application that I've worked on personally. It took me 3 months to figure out. Similar in design, but not totally the same as this. Not as big in terms of sheer footprint. But I have done that path before. Which is why I'm going this way. Why I'm going towards Kubernetes right this second, because it is something that I've done before. Now I'm just figuring it out from a different way. So I have written Helm charts. I understand what they are enough to understand I don't want to write them. Um, so so suppose to that point, I did start out that way, but not on this application. But I've forgotten more than because I don't do it all the time. I've forgotten more than I would like. But as time goes by, concepts will become familiar, terms will become more uh, well understood, and able to say the right, understand when I'm being told something. Oh, that's this, that's that, rather than just like you go deploy my application. Mr. Jones, good afternoon. How are you doing? So did that. Let's try that once more. I want to see if I timed that wrong. I didn't save that right or whatever. But is it? And I'm trying to verify. Is that actually it's resolved the service and the service can't communicate through to the deployment, or am I mistaking something there? Because I'm pretty sure that says Kafka broker service. Anyway, right? Kafka broker service, and yeah, it said that anyway. So okay, that's fine. Now let's open it. And this is where things go badly wrong. Yep, it's that part. So what have I got wrong in that? So yeah, error connected to node, Kafka broker deployment. So it is that I'm connecting to the service. The service is definitely specified there. So this wasn't wrong. However, is that a error connected to node? unknown host. So is it the deployment name I should give it? No, because that's not right either, is it? So the deployment of the broker, like a broker deployment. Is there a mapping I'm missing? Is there? It recommended the Zookeeper be node port, but the broker be cluster IP. Does that matter? Does that have bearing? Cross. So it's trying to AKHQ. I give it the service as the bootstrap service for Kafka, for the broker, which it starts up fine, but then when it goes to connect, it's saying error connecting to node Kafka broker deployment. So it can't communicate to this on that port, or it can't communicate to this. So I assume that it's resolving when I give it the service name, it's giving it the deployment back because I'm not telling it anything about the deployment. I'm just giving it a service address. This is set up as a cluster IP. Is that right? Because the Zookeeper is a node port. The broker's communicating happily with an. Oh, that's necessarily inside the cluster. It's accessible. Yeah, I don't want to export. A node port just gives me. Yeah, I don't need to access it externally, so no, it's fine. Internal network VMs also external to K8S. It's definitely not load balance, that's for certain. Yeah, it would make sense that it's cluster IP. So it's just not communicating. I don't think it's not that. Doesn't set that as a change. So when you give it a service address, is that the service kind of resolving that and feeding it back the deployment it actually ends up going to? I'm not quite sure what that. Not quite sure what piece is going there. But I care about the address. I need AKHQ to communicate with the broker to get me the list of accessible topics. I was hoping to get to the gateway today. Don't think that's going to happen. So next step, API gateway and a service one of the APIs, the tenant management API would be the next step. Getting that database configured and communicating. It should be relevant at this point. Quite sure why it won't be relevant. So when AKHQ is set up, you give it a bootstrap server, which should be always be a broker. That's now wrong. Awesome. That bootstrap server is what it communicates with to get the list of topics. So it needs to have an address. Plain text host. That's why. I don't think 909. I don't think it's 9092 because this is configured very differently. So unless I'm misunderstanding something with what you mean by the address doesn't matter. Kubernetes DNS will resolve it anyway. Well, that's kind of my question is like, where's it pulling the deployment name from? Because I'm giving it the service name. It's given is I'm feeding it the right service name, right? Because the service is the thing that I want to communicate. Yeah, that's what I'm using. But then when I'm actually trying to access it, it's trying to resolve the deployment name. Or it's trying to access the deployment name. Whether something prevents that from happening, and I'm not sure why. I don't think it's the advertised listeners. Well, maybe it is the listeners that are doing that. Localhost. No, that wouldn't be it, would it? But these are allowed. They're allowed through. Nothing would prevent them. Even if this was. So AKHQ is starting up. It has 9092 on Kafka broker service. If I go here and open it now, it now throws an error because it's trying to get Kafka deployment 9092. Error connecting to node. Unknown host exception. Kafka broker deployment. Do I need to... Is this then configured wrong by using... Because this name isn't actually... You can't access this by its name. Do I need to do... I don't think that will work fine. Yes. 1 second. I believe so. Not seeing anything that says it's not. So the broker's starting up. The broker is communicating with the zookeeper properly. We got that resolved yesterday, thanks to Mr. Anhorn. They're in the same network, essentially. No, they are in the same network. He says, yeah, they are in the same network because it's only the labels that specify the network after the fact, right? Once the network's been created. So we create the network, we build the zookeeper, the broker, and then the AKHQ, and they all go in the same network by the labels. What did I just change there? I changed that. I want to see this changed behavior. I don't care if it fails. I just care that it's changing that behavior. I want to see that it's doing what I think it's doing. What I think's happening is when I'm communicating with through the service name through the deployment, the advertised listener that it's feeding back is coming back with the name of the deployment, not the name of, because this is localhost essentially, right? It's not coming back with the name of the service and then can't communicate still. So that's my best guess at this point. Speaking of the Emporium guy, thank you for the shout out that, and thank you for the shout out on Xcoding as well. Well then, Xcoding does all sorts of cool stuff from shell stuff to C# editor stuff. It's very fascinating. Unfortunately, I don't get to catch as much of Xcoding streams as I would like. Same with Emporium guy because yeah, random stream times. But Emporium guy has been working on learning Blazor and learning Auth and doing all sorts of stuff. And yesterday he got his movie review piece kind of coming together. So he's figured out the JavaScript interrupt stuff, and that was good to watch. Got to watch some of that on Discord because we were in a chat. So I got extra stream from Emporium guy in Discord. So okay, so yeah, let's bring this up again. So what I think is happening is when the AKHQ service starts, it communicates with the service through the right address, and that's okay. But when I go to get the topics, the advertised listener for the deployment that the service now navigates me to feeds back its address, and then it just is trying to communicate with that. So I want to see that change. Is all I don't care if it works. I just care about it changing to see if it confirms my idea there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right. So this is still Kafka broker service 29092. Kafka has some weird ways of working internally, or what's behind the scenes, what's exposed. So let's forward that. Let's go here. So this connected, right? As far as I understand it. Now, if I open that address, yep, it worked. Hey, tricky lady, how you doing? So there's no topics, but it did actually connect to Kafka broker service 29092. Bad. That's not good. It's Friday. So yeah, that changed the behavior. So what was happening is when it was doing this, it was feeding back because it's assuming localhost. It's feeding back the name of the deployment, but Kubernetes doesn't allow me to do that. So I need to do some more Pulumi. Oh, yeah, I suppose. Broker service. So I guess I get to do some more Pulumi magic here. I assume I'm going to have to feed them both there. Pulumi, concat. Not quite the way I want to do this, but we'll find we'll get there. Broker service dot metadata dot name, and then same thing here. Broker service dot metadata dot name. Okay. So we're going to restart that again, verify that works. Yeah. So again, yeah, that's my growing knowledge diagram. We'll see. But the AKHQ service was using the broker service address correctly because it was using the actual service, and it was going to the broker node, the broker deployment, and asking for information. It was using the advertised addresses, the advertised listener addresses to connect with, but that fed it back the internal deployment name, not the service name. And then it continued trying to work with that, right? So it's like a ping pong as far as I'm understanding that. So this should work. So hopefully that makes sense. It does make sense to me why I'm changing that. It's the first time I've actually seen the advertised listeners work in that way, but okay. Now makes sense why I couldn't connect yesterday. And we might be able to connect. We might actually be able to connect through this, or through Offset Explorer if that's right. So let's see that works. Oh no, that failed. I saw that fail instantly. No security protocol defined for plain text. Oh, because I comma. Believe me. Do you recognize this? Does it recognize it? Is the question. Yes, it recognized the update. Okay. That's one of the beauties of this. If I make that small change, I don't have to redeploy everything again. It will deploy the changes, not just if it recognizes that there are changes, it'll redeploy that, which can help. All good. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming. I know this is not your world necessarily, but I do appreciate you hanging out. That's that. It's going to take a second because it's crashing. An old person coffee, right? So the problem there was probably the I didn't break up the string properly. Come on, finish doing your things. So my experience with Kubernetes, by the way, comes from um, having to randomly figure stuff out to help a DevOps person with work um, while doing some stuff on deployments. So I kind of got my head around a little bit of the stuff. I then played with Kubernetes on my personal game site stuff to try and do something there. And this isn't working. It's a nice idea, but let's just bring it all down and start again. I'm sure that would have worked if I didn't know what I was configuring it for. But yeah, so I've played with Kubernetes a little bit. Again, this is to try and get some understanding of what I'm trying to do. You know, if it comes to the point where with the application I can say, well, hold on, I could build an app service. It would be much more constructive than using Kubernetes. I can look at the cost, but I understand the pieces I'm asking to build in Kubernetes. No, 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 not in the stream. Please. Not appropriate for this stream. Um, all good. So being able to say, oh, I need to do a deployment, I need to configure ingress, I need to configure storage, I need to configure all this. What will that cost? I don't know, but I can ask the right questions. So growing the education of what it means to deploy the application, because it's great dreaming up architecture. It's great dreaming up solutions to problems and using cool technologies. But when you go to deploy that to a real thing, it's oftentimes it comes with cost. Um, so should you constrain your designs because it might cost money, or should you let your creativity run free and build something cool, but understand what it costs? Um, and when it goes to deploy it, maybe there's other cheaper options, but now you can appreciate what those cheaper options are because you understand what it is to deploy it. So yeah, that's working okay. So I'm just trying to make sure that I don't leave it to the last minute to figure that out. Because if you go and build a really cool application and you're really proud of what you've done, but then you go to deploy it and realize, oh, I can't do this. It's not cost effective. It's going to hurt, right? Yeah, that resolved properly. Right? Because that's just going to demoralize you. And if you do it as part of work, that's a whole different challenge, right? Because that's, um, yeah, there you go. So AKHQ is working. Kafka broker deployment is working. We have the advertised listeners on the service, so that's cool. I'm wondering if can I connect to 44957? 44957. Can dev? Yeah, if you're interested in game dev, and all sorts of crazy Twitch dev, Canny is definitely the one to watch. He builds a library called Twitcher, which is a library for um, um, everything bot development inside a Twitch bot development inside of Godot. He has built a lot of stuff there. Too much stuff uh, to list off here. No, that would be just 44957. I don't think that's going to work because I think that just exposes HTTP. I don't think that would work. Not sure what that would actually give me. Yeah, it's not working. Clear. Let's just try that one more time. So K8S. I don't think this actually matters one little bit. Zookeeper does not matter. 192.168, 1.236, 44957. Want to see if it communicates at all. Doesn't look like it does. And it definitely doesn't communicate. That's interesting. I can try that. 192.168.236. But then I'd have to port forward Zookeeper as well. And that seems less than ideal. 45681. As far as I'm aware, Zookeeper doesn't matter. Connection refused. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't really matter that I can't do that. That's not really the focus of what I'm trying to do. It would be interesting to see if I could do it in the long term, but that I think that would mean just understanding a little bit more about the networking inside of Kubernetes to be able to do that. Let's remove them so I don't leave them lying around for a second. Okay, so we have Kafka up and running. We have an AKHQ deployment up and running. As far as I'm aware, it's going to be able to communicate with those pieces. So that's that. Git status, add, commit, arrange Kafka components, add AKHQ, added the okay. Booker to use service name. Okay. So, okay, what's next? So let's start the tenant management piece. So tenant management is the API for managing the tenant, right? It's going to come with the need to have database connections. It's going to need a whole lot of information. Now, last time I did this, speaking of great developers, Anna is an building own game engine. She's building. She's been playing with Blazor applications and yeah, like just it's a bit all over the place, but it's a lot of learning and just yeah, very smart person, um, worth tuning into. And there's a lot of ducks. A lot of ducks. So when I deploy this, I'm gonna have to consider what this looks like. From past experience, this was not easy. But I have two other dependencies here, right? Console. Okay, let's go get console up and running first. That might be a better one to do. So let's do git checkout main, git merge add Kafka, git branch Yeah. Git checkout, add tenant management. This is going to be a long one, because this is going to be git checkout FB. So I'm using this as a goal, but to get this working, I have to have, well, to get it even remotely working, I have to have several other pieces in place first, which means getting console up and running, because the app won't start without console. It will start without mass transit. We will need to figure out Kafka, Auth0 configuration. This again is going to be interesting because now I'm going to have to create a, unless I'm misunderstanding it, I'm going to have to create a production tenant in Auth0. Or a staging, we'll call it a staging tenant, right? Staging is probably better. Serolog configuration, we're not worrying about Serolog, etc. If you're interested in deployment and app stuff, well, actually, general development, Milan. My browser's struggling. Oh no. I might have my 5800X 3D CPU. 5800X and the 5800X 3D aren't really that different for production, I don't believe. I'm not going to be gaming on this machine. Some does some interesting posts. Does he do it in community? Yeah, he recently shared. Really, YouTube? I don't want to. I want the link to the thing. Okay. He recently shared an article on things he sets up by default in new applications. Code style rules, so editor config, static code analysis. I do have some of that enabled and it drove me nuts. Observability, so using open telemetry, that's something I need to come around. Containerization and CI/CD pipelines, right? Those are things he sets up at the beginning. Yes, I've neglected to do the CI/CD piece until much later, but no one ever accused me of being smart, right? So, um, yeah, but worth a read and worth considering. So I'll need to get console up a minute. Now, console is service discovery. I know that Kubernetes has the concept of this in there, or I believe it does have the concept of service discovery. So again, from a technology choice perspective, what do I do? Right? Is the configuration in production different? And again, this is why I'm doing that. um, so I'm going to put console in there right now, but if only to learn the difference when someone says, "Oh, by the way, did you know?" Because then I can make this configuration work and then kind of compare and contrast. And again, looking at it from okay, here's what my development environment looks like. Here's what I need to be able to do to develop. I can use console in this, but when I use Kubernetes to deploy, I don't need console. I can actually replace that piece. I do have a dependency on console because I use it as a key value store as well. That's the Kafka piece. So yeah, and this we're going to have to be able to access. So this definitely will have. Sorry, this will definitely have a node port. Um, Kubernetes. So let's start with getting an image of well, let's finish today's stream with getting Kubernetes to get the code worked on for getting console up and running. So I'm going to create a new folder, console. I'm going to create, did I branch? No, I did not. There you go. I'm going to create a new file, index.ts, export function, create console client. We'll do it that way. Import star as Pulumi from Pulumi as K8S from. There's this big baffling world of technology, and yeah, don't worry. My eyes glaze over as well. Yeah. So to get this running, we don't necessarily need this right this second. This is so that it persists. So when it creates things, it persists it. We can worry about storage and stuff later. We can pull the image from HashiCorp. Network, not sure. And then we do need some command line stuff. So let's go and start building that. So const service equals that, const deployment equals, yeah, that's a good start. Service deployment. Okay. Wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, it's wrong, kinda not, kinda wrong. So let me go to the okay. So namespace wise, namespace. Sorcery, yes. Sorcery is building a game. It's a tactical RPG. I think more of Advance Wars when I see it, which is not what that is, but it's an RPG based building with some like tactical aspect to it. 2D colony sim with RPG and strategy elements. Yeah, it's the stream's awesome. She's super friendly and really bubbly, but amazing developer. The game, yeah, looks incredible. Const name equals ls console. We'll come around on that afterwards because that's not actually appropriate in that respect. Build broker, broker labels. Still trying to get my head around labels. They seem to be functional, but they just seem like strings, which is confusing me. But yeah, const app labels console. Don't need network labels right this second. Figure that out. Console. And that's the app labels. Okay, let's do that. That ends that one. That ends that one. That's why that went there. Okay, now containers wise. not far wrong. You're not far wrong. 85, 86, 86, TCP and UDP. That's interesting. It didn't get that, did it? 85, 86, 8600 on. Is that real? Um, that's TCP. I suppose the protocol there is by default TCP, so that's that. HashiCorp console latest. I'm not messing around with trying to stick on certain versions. If I do that now, I'll leave that. I want to see. Again, part of this is so I can continually run this and see the problems that come up and learn some of these pain points. Once you start deploying an application, you don't want to be scared of changing things, right? So you do want to make sure that you are testing your limits all the time. We don't need HTTPS. 8500, 8600. And I'm going to get rid of that for right now. It will be interesting to see if that's actually a thing, but we'll get there later. Okay, that being said, don't forget, if you are watching on YouTube, by the way, it is, I mean, the chat isn't as interactive as I want it to be. You don't see most of the chat, so it looks very quiet. But if you are watching on YouTube, I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you hanging out. You're more than welcome to ask questions just the same way. I see both of them combined, so I can definitely read them out. But if you are on YouTube, I do appreciate the like and subscribe. It does help the channel. If people are seeing this and coming in here, then more people understand that not everyone makes this look easy, right? Some people struggle, and that's why I'm streaming it. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Let's get this in at least a decent place initially. I won't get it right. I do need to do a lot more to get this working. So this is console. So I'm naming it specifically right this second so that I don't end up with different names. This, I believe, I do want Node port because I do need to access this. Do I need it? Let's figure that out later. HTTP 8500 target port 8500. We'll learn these as we go. I don't think I need to expose any more on our service right now. Let's just try that. So I should be able to go to here, comment that out. Do import star as console from console. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know it's not going to work. But yeah. Create console client. That's fine. Haven't got any configuration yet, so that's also good. Pulumi up. Interesting. That's fine. I doubt this will work first time, but it should at least build enough. I created them in a console pod. You can't start it. That's interesting. There's console. We have a console host. That's pretty cool. That worked first time. And again, I don't need to worry about. I still think a cluster IP would work fine. I don't need to worry about it. From a service perspective, yeah, that's all I need from a service perspective right this second. Okay. We're going to call that a success for now. Okay. Do not forget, it is Friday. On Fridays, unless things have changed. One Lion, who has been doing the shout outs for me, which I greatly appreciate. Oh, ads, really? Yeah, we need a community day. We need those things. I don't know. How you doing? How's your Friday treating you? Okay. Well, I hope. Sorry. Yeah, that's that, a little bit of success at the end of the stream there, which is good. So console up and running, essentially. There's still more to do. I still need to figure out how to do that command, right? That's not going to they're not trying to plan a speaker session with some American person getting them ready for a thing in an hour and a half. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. That being said, I have to end here. I have to make an appointment to have knee surgery, or at least get started on that process, which will be fun. So I'm gonna go do that. Meniscus. So I have a torn meniscus, which requires surgery to repair. Yeah. So that's gonna be fun. I get to fly next week as well, which is going to be even worse. But anyway, can't complain. Okay. So ad break's finished. Don't forget, it is Friday. Doing karate, probably. It could have happened for years. One Line streams on a Friday, does a community day stream starting at around 12:30 Eastern, where if you are, if you want to hang out and talk more .NET stuff, that is the place to go. Very, very advised. One Line is a great streamer and builds a great community and does a lot of different app development. Lindell as well, another great .NET developer. Works with some legacy stuff, works with some Blazor, some static stuff recently. And oof, yeah, he's hoping. Then I'm sure there's other streams. But one line stream is definitely not a place to just go and talk about random stuff. It is very much development, which is a great highlight to my Friday afternoons, believe me. So anyway, we're gonna go raid Anna. I need to go. I need to go make this appointment. Thank you very much, all. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the assistance. Go for it if you're still around. Appreciate the input. And I will see you again on Monday. Longer stream Monday. Day off. And yeah, that'll be that. So take care all. Have a great weekend. Bye.